Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be going through the first part of what's going to be a bit of an epic. I recently bought well over 2,000 vintage Penguin books, all of which are going to need processing, cleaning and getting as good as possible so I can then compare them with my own copies and then move them on to other collectors. So without further ado, we got a bit of an epic in front of us. So sit back, relax and let's get to it. Okay, and so I'm afraid I'm going to need to apologise right off the bat and say that for the next few weeks, we are going to be focusing on this collection here. Now, this is vintage Penguin paperbacks, and these were an original owner collection. So a collector started putting these together, I think, as early as the late 60s, early 1970s. And that collector is now in their 80s, and this collection has been stored in France all that time, and the time has come to move it on. So the collector's grandson is dealing with moving this on, and he gave me a shout about 7 weeks or so ago and said, "Oh, Jules, are you interested in any of these?" And I gave him some advice and said, "Yeah, well, look, obviously it's a huge collection." Now, I've recently finished my first 1,000 penguins, so I don't need any of these ones that we're going to be doing up to 1,000. I have also bought, though, penguins 1,001 up to 3,200 odd. So, and lots of those I do need. I need about half of those. So I should be, once again, I'll be cleaning them all up, getting everything looking as good as possible. And then I'm going to offer my spares out to other collectors in trades or just, if they want to buy them, I suppose. So that's what we're doing here now. So I'm just going to need to go through and get all these books looking as good as possible. Now, these books that we're looking at here are from numbers 501 to 600. They're not in order. Okay, so just so you know, the books are not in numerical order. So we haven't got number 501, 502, 503. They're very much as they come. I'm going to pop these back into order once I've cleaned everything. And you may notice as we go through that the original owner of this collection wrote down inside the books where he actually picked them up. But I offered, as a favour to the family, to assist them in moving on the from 501 to 1,000. So obviously I know plenty of collectors, so I'm going to try and maximise their return. But I'm going to give them all a bit of a tidy up before they get offered out, just so that they're looking as good as they possibly can. Now, I have unboxed the collection at the moment. There was so much in it, I wasn't actually even able to fit it in my car in one hit. So I'm going up again to get the rest of the collection towards the end of this week, as I'm filming this now. But it does appear, having unboxed from 500 up to 2,200 now, it does appear as if the collection gets better as we go along. The earlier ones are not in the greatest of shape. I've not actually looked at the collection for numbers 1 to 500. What I suggested to the family is that they perhaps decide to sell those themselves through somewhere like eBay, so that the books find their own market, because they've got some rare crime ones in there, and obviously those are expensive, so they're going to need to maximize their money there. But all the books, every single book I've checked, is a first Penguin printing. As I said, I wanted to go through, give them the best possible brush over before we move them on. This is a nice little double volume flyer there. We're bound to come across all sorts of stuff. So you may have noticed that the collection has never been cleaned. One thing you will notice, and it's a bit of a shame really, but if the bottom of a spine had a tear or a dink, the original owner put tape on it. So the tape, and this was done back in the day, so this tape does thankfully come off, but of course it's going to leave a bit of a mark. Now on the 60s books, it's not going to really matter. But on these ones here, look at that. I mean, it's left a bit of a mottled mark there, which affects the number. So ultimately, we're not going to be able to put, a super high price on something like this, because it's a reasonably common book, and it's now got that little bit of tape removal mark down the bottom, which does spoil it. It is as simple as that, but apart from that, it would have been quite a presentable little copy. For all I know, it's still better than the one I've got, but I think I've got quite nice runs of between 500 and 1,000 now. I've been upgrading them for so long. My copies aren't bad, but the thing is, I still think that a lot of these are going to be better than what you're going to find in your average second-hand bookshop. So we just have to make the best of what we've got, really. But I knew I was going to have my work cut out, shall we say, with these. But I didn't want to waste the opportunity, so I want to turn these books round, as soon as possible, really. So get them in the hands of fellow collectors, not least of which because of the space they're taking up. They do take up a lot of room, which, I don't mind, but at the same time, I need the space. I don't want to be falling over them, as it were. So that's why I'm not taking any, I'm not hanging around. I'm just getting straight into getting these processed, cleaned, and turned around, basically. Now, a lot of the books, like this one here, it's got a little date, and it's got where the original owner, actually picked these copies up. So a lot of them seem to be in the southwest of the country, although I have seen some which were actually overseas. And what I'm doing, this period of Penguin here, which is just post-war, I'm cleaning them as best I can, and then the final stage will be they'll just need brushing then, and then I shall, of course, put them back into order. Of course, there are many collectors who just want a copy of the book in first print. They're not too worried about the ultimate, having them in the best possible condition. They just would like a copy. And I certainly know how they feel. Quite a few of these have got like little 5p's on the front or 10p's. It's amazing, but back in the day, that's what these second-hand books would cost. They weren't exactly expensive. But as I said, I've got about 2,000 or so to get through, so I'm not going to do 100 per video, like 22 videos of them. I will try and mix it up, but as I'm going through them, I am going to film the process. So it may well be, depending on how I feel, I may well end up doing 200 penguins of this sort per video, and then we'll just release these over the next few months. All right, and when I got time, I will obviously mix in some different stuff to keep it a little bit more varied. I've still got the last of my Pam books to do. I've still got lots of bagging to do. I've got some interesting, like, non-paperback stuff from the collection, which still needs to be processed and that. So got a few things to mix it up a little bit. It won't all be just main series, but there will be a lot of this main series here. So bear that in mind. But yeah, there's quite a bit coming up on the horizon, and I'd like to sort of get a lot of this processed before a few little deadlines, really. So I should just crack on, and hopefully you can just enjoy the show. So this one's got a little mark saying it was in Cheltenham. Now, with a lot of these, I am going to erase the original purchase information out, because it's not something that means anything to anybody else except the original owner, and he's decided to let them go now. So original price at 10p, original prices and where they were sold, not really of interest to anybody else. There we are. Leon C, 9th of August 1974. This one's looking the worse for wear, isn't it? course, as time goes on, the books get more and more robust. So, right. I think I'm just going to put a splurge of glue in there. I don't think many of them are too low grade like this. Most of them are quite high grade in actual fact. As I said, the main sort of slight niggle really is that he decided to tape them. I mean, I've seen it before, and as I said, thankfully the tape is so old, it just sort of comes off in your hand, which is quite lucky. And we'll see more examples of this as we go along. There's a little bit of tape on there, you know. But you can see, without too much effort, it just sort of peels off. And there we are. And he's put that on. Look, there was that tiniest of tiny little marks there. And it just makes it worse. I just, you know, it's one of those things. But the 18th of August 1972, it says pen. I'm not sure where that is. But, you know, back in 1972, 52 years ago, I'm sure when he put the tape on, they looked lovely. But thankfully, that's why it comes off quite easily now, because it's 50 years old and it's suitably aged. What I am hoping is that we come across the old signed one. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it, you know? I mean, they are out there, signed penguins. And you'd think with a collection this sort of size, that signed one would probably turn up when we go through them all, you know? But I imagine these slightly earlier ones are going to require a little bit more work than some of the later hundreds, you know? This one's fairly nice. The Way of All Flesh. I love these little 10p's in there. It's just incredible, isn't it? But yeah, so this will be officially known as the Penguin Collection Part 1, I think. And I got to admit, when I was unloading the boxes, it was like seeming like it was endless. It was like, wow, this is incredible. One good thing I am very relieved about this is that the books don't appear to be very dusty. Thank goodness. I was really worried about that, but they're not. So that's good news. That's quite a nice one. Just got this tape on the bottom. Look at that. Let's hope it comes off. It already looks yellow. Ah, it's going to lose a bit of it. Such a shame. Such a shame. But it's better than having the tape left on, in my opinion. But yeah, a little bit of loss there. I guess that's what he was trying to sort out, was the that there. So at least we can repair that. So we can put a little bit of our glue on there to save that. Obviously back then, I guess, tape was the most common form of repair, wasn't it, really? I mean, what else? What other options did you have? At least it saved the number. And then now we want to put another bit just underneath. This glue's great because it dries clear. It's proper bookbinder's glue. There we are. I mean, it's a reasonably tough crime one, that, you know, the group part murders, number 531. You know what I mean? It's in really tip-top shape. That's the sort of book that would be about £8, I would think. But, you know, with a repaired bottom spine like that, you know, it's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe about 4, something like that. I don't know. I'm going to have to give pricing up these books some considerable consideration. Simple as that. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I said they're not in order. They're just as they've come, basically. But once I've cleaned them, I will pop them back into order so I can keep them nicely organised. And if someone asks me, oh, have you got a particular one, I can just go straight to it. That is The Theory. Obviously, all of these are going to need a brush off as the final stage. But initially, we're just going to carry on doing what we're doing. Hopefully, this will be useful for yourself if you're ever in the position where you've got to clean a load of books, you know, in a reasonably short space of time. Might give you a few hints and tips. Yeah, thankfully he didn't put it on all the books. The tape, I mean. It's not too bad, you know, but it is a defect, sadly. And the more read the book, like this crime one here, you know, it's in 2 places on this one, sadly. But it's typical, isn't it? It's crime. And I suspect, although I've not seen them, I suspect that the first 500 from the collection are in a similar sort of state where they've been taped up to get them looking as good as possible. And because of that, you know, on the expensive books, it will affect their value. But at the same time, you know, some of them are so scarce and people don't really care as long as they've got a copy. Certainly, I've always been that way with Penguin. I'd rather have a copy of some sort than no copy, if that makes sense. So you often see in book dealers' catalogues tape removal marks. But that's exactly what these are now. Yeah, it's a tape removal mark. But it is what it is. Still quite nice. I mean, someone will be more than happy with that. I'm absolutely certain. So it's still a 50 to 60-year-old crime book, and when you look at it that way, you know, it's just something like these. So these Bernard Shaws had print runs of 100,000 each. So there was 10 of them. So they made Bernard Shaw £1 million copy publisher, a million copy author rather, literally in one hit by printing a million copies, 100,000 of the 10 books. So these are consequently very, very cheap. So, no one's going to really want to pay much more than, a couple of quid for something like that because they're quite common. But as I said, you never know. Certainly, for me, it's all about turning these over. So, as I said, I'm only doing this as a favour to the family, and what I don't sell they can have back, but I would imagine that there'll be a nice batch that other collectors are going to want to get their hands on. So that's all good. Right, reset the camera there. Alright, here we are. It's actually really nice, doesn't need hardly any work. And as I said, I'm going to judge these videos to see if we can do like 100 or 200 per video. To be honest, I'd like to do a couple of hundred per video if I could. And I know my viewers prefer longer videos, so maybe that is going to be the way to go, and I shall just do a series of epic longer vids. That's a very, very nice copy. Shame it's got a faded spine, but there you go. But yeah, I'd like to be able to do 200 per vid if I could. That would be really productive. And that'd be 1,000 penguins done over 5 weeks. And what I would do, I would just, because I have to clean these as a matter of priority, just to get them processed, I will mix in other stuff along the way. So it's not going to be penguin books every single week. But of course, there is going to be a lot of them. It's going to be maybe every other week at a minimum. But we'll see how we get on. It's the best I can promise, really, at the moment. But this was exactly how I thought it was going to be. An awful lot of books to get cleaned as quick as possible, really. What I wasn't expecting was the family to ask me to do the first 500, but I didn't like to say no. And I thought, well, we could film the process, and there's bound to be some nice books. It's always a nice... See, that's actually a really nice copy of that one, 508. It's always a nice thing to have a look through. Vintage penguins, isn't it? You just can't go wrong. 1945, these. See, that's it's a fair old time, isn't it? Yeah, when you take off the tape, it leaves this sort of like residue. Gift of the British Red Cross Society and Order of the St. John Hospital Library. Okay, that's lovely. Don't know if that's pencil or pen. Oh, looks like it is pencil. That's good news. I said this original owner didn't clean any of his books, so all he did was basically make them worse by putting tape on. But I mean, as I said, back then you just weren't really to know, were you? So we'll let him off. But yeah, what can you say? This one's got double taping action. Joseph Conrad, he's not bad, as one of an author who's like, regarded as a classic, you could say nowadays. He's all right. This was picked up in 10th of March 1973 in Tewkesbury. There you go. Tewkesbury, eh? Some light notes there, but nothing important. So they can come out. There we are. Took a bit of work, didn't it? He's all right now. See, when they come off in one little bit like that, then that's absolutely fine. Don't mind that at all. Dr. Johnson. No tape on that one. That's a pretty nice copy of that, 1946. Oh, and another copy there. There's 2 copies of this one. Fluff's fallen into it. So why has he got 2? Certainly, they're both pretty nice copies, so who can tell? A bit dusty on the top of one of those there. Oh, another crime one, and another one with... Does the tape come off that? Or is it still on? It's hard to tell. No, I think it's come off. It's been taken off, this one. So Policeman's Lot 597. But it's left the old mark. Sadly, the telltale signs are there. Yeah, a bit of a slightly rough copy of this one. Going to get some glue down the spine there. Yeah, that's about as good as we're going to get that one, I believe. Or 5p. Of course, because the collector picked so many of these up so long ago, even the second-hand price was even more ridiculous than they usually are. You know, where they're like the 10p and things like that. They're like less, literally 5p's or less. It's just incredible. Well, I reckon I was being a little bit optimistic about doing 200 in one video, but you never know. That was all right. 23rd of the 7th, 75 in Kingsbridge. Yeah, a lot of West Country stuff. I'm guessing he must have lived down this neck of the woods, this particular collector. Consequently visited all the sort of shops, bookshops down this way. I suppose it's not a bad idea, you know, if you like to see where you bought books, particularly if you're picking up a lot of them. I can understand the attraction of keeping, in a way, a little diary, but at the same time, you just leave work for the future archivist, don't you? We'll let him off. We'll let him off. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's fine. So they really do vary. There's a nice one, Wuthering Heights. Sadly got a bit of tape on the top. It's a pretty nice copy, apart from the tape. Yeah, not bad. Not too bad at all, that one. That's all right. We have got one crime one coming up. In fact, it's coming up in a few books' time, and it's like the entire spine is taped, so I don't know how we're going to get on with that. The Cases of Suzanne Dare. I can see that this has got part of the spine taped up, like that. Yeah. As good as we can get it, basically. Take off the tape. Cure flesh. Same with that one. It's about as good as we're going to get it, I think. Oh, it's actually got a little bit of tape down the bottom here, which I've just spied. But I think it's best to take that tape off rather than leave it on. Simple as that. In my humble okay. It's all right. Actually, you can see why I taped it, because it's got a tiny flap. So we'll dab a tiny bit of glue in there, like so. Just enough to squeeze it down. Absolutely fine. It's funny how the booksellers often would put a pencil price in the penguin logo. How very dare they? I suppose most of these do seem to have been done in pencil, which is okay, isn't it? A miscellaneous insertion there. Nothing too important. £5p, however, did need to come out. Right, this was the one which is fully taped. Look at that. So this could be destiny, it could be doom, or it could be something quite different. We may be able to save it. This is awful, isn't it? Awful, I say. Ugh. Save me. And there we are, it'll come off. So you can see why, you know, it's been glued up and stuff, because it's just so awful. But we'll glue that little bit back down. Maybe someone will want this for £1, maybe. It is, after all, a reasonably difficult one to find post 500, you know, so someone might fancy it as a filler for 50p or £1, something like that. But not a lot else. This is another one. It's got a full spine on it, a full spine of tape. Ugh. Oh, that's horrible, isn't it? Yuck. Once again, that looks so much better without the tape on it, in my opinion. There we go. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this first 100 and see how we're looking for time. But I think this first 100 is going to take an hour. And I don't like my cleaning videos to be less than an hour, really. So maybe this will just be known as the Penguin Collection video part 1. And it could be part 1 of who knows how many. But it'll be like a separate series, so you know they all come from the same collection. And I'll just work my way through these. But this video itself is going to be an hour in length, which I think is going to be fine for this week anyway. But suffice to say, I'm going to have a couple of months worth of cleaning videos in advance because I got so much to clean up, with more to come. So This one has about 6 prices in it. There we are. Good book, that. It's a trilogy, isn't it? A House in Paris. Look at this. 4p. Incredible. 4p. Of course, you've still got to brush them down yet. Of course, this is the period where the books don't actually need to be polished because they've got paper covers. We can't polish them to clean them up. They can only be brushed down. Yeah, a little bit of glue under there. There is a slight spine split, but can't do anything about that. Good stuff. Lawless Road, Graham Greene. This is where they misspelt his name on the spine wrong. I can't imagine he was too pleased about that. Now, this one's got loads of tape on. So let's see how we get on here. Now it looks like because the cover is literally detached. Yeah, it's got a detached cover there. So I shall re-glue that, just so it's complete. But apart from that, it's not too bad a copy at all. So what I tend to do in these instances is run it right down the edge like this. And that will dry quite nicely, that's spot on. Perfect. That's all right, that's come out all right. Mr. Graham Greene, who I actually really like as an author. 26th of May 1972, Bath. So this is almost the earliest date I've found, 72. I haven't found any dated earlier than this, I don't think, yet. So we shall make a little mental note of that. That's the current record. says first Penguin edition, 10p. Which wasn't bad, I suppose, was it? For quite a nice copy as well. Not a particularly rare book or anything, but a reasonably nice one compared to some that we've seen. Another one with tape on. And I said the tape situation seems to improve as the books get older and older, younger and younger, as I say. So the older the books, the more tape has been used, I guess because they were generally in the worst of conditions. And then far less tape used later on. I suspect I'm going to be getting through a bit of glue over the next few days while I process this collection. It's quite lucky actually. Although I'm working the next 2 days, I'm then off for about a week, which is really great timing. So although I'm busy Friday driving up to Manchester to get the second part of the collection, the second half, I'm then off for 6 days straight at least, which is perfect. So I should really be able to make quite a bit of headway on the collection. Not sure if I can get it all processed in 6 days with my other commitments, but I think I'm definitely going to be able to give it a pretty good stab. Alongside, doing other videos for my channel, of course. Yes, another one which isn't too bad at all. Another Charlotte Bronte. It's from Cheltenham, it says. Oh, rubber's getting some action today, isn't it? It really is. But we don't care. It's all good. Fugitive from murder. July 22nd, 75 from Honiton, this one. Well, I like to go to Honiton now and again. Though I haven't been for a little while. But I quite like it because there's 3 bookshops on the one road, which is great, You can get a lot in one day, and there's also like a little collector's toy shop there as well. Time machine. This was part of another run where they published 10 H.G. Wells in a row. See, that's a really nice copy. That's spooled by the bottom of the spine being glued there historically. It's a shame. Oh dear, this one's been a bit concertina, isn't it? That might have happened when it was packed away. Let's sport it a little bit. I mean, that'll sort itself out, because generally on the outside it's not too bad a copy, but a bit of a shame that, with its faults. And a Dr. Moreau, I should say, not Monroe, Moreau. Another one from Cheltenham in 72. Yeah, it's not too bad a copy at all, that one. It redeemed itself. War of the Worlds. It's a fairly bright copy of that one. Leavenworth case. 10th of July 73, Swindon. Yes, I'm afraid to say that there's no way I'm going to be able to do 200 in this video. I'm just going to do this first 100, and we'll leave it at that for today, but I don't think that's a bad thing. We've had some really good repair job and cleaning action on, so certainly enough for the one vid. But if I do have any like later numbers which are a bit, you know, they don't need so much work, for example, then I'll try and do a couple of hundred in one video, basically. You wouldn't believe the pile of tape next to me. I'm going to try and, before the video is out, I'll show you the pile of discarded tape next to me. You just would not believe it. That's okay, that one. All right, we've still got a good wedge of books to get through here. That's being a bit stubborn. Let's try it from the other side instead. Here we are. And at the top. There we are. Okay. There we are. It's got that as clean as we can get it, which is all we can possibly hope to do. Good old Herbert George Wells. I do like him. At least what I've read of his, I've really liked. I've got to say, there's no way I've read anything like all of his stuff. He was so prolific. Can't believe how much he actually wrote. But what I've read is good. Haven't read this one though. Turn it over. Holy Terrors. 11th of November 73, Stroud. Don't think we've seen any from Stroud before, have we? Don't think we've had any in Cornwall yet either, have we? It's been Devon and Somerset. None in Cornwall just yet. need to make a bit of space over there for this last pile. This bit's been particularly hard to get. It's been double taped, if you can believe it. God, that's taped on the inside, that one, to keep the spine from getting any worse. God, dear, oh dear. Okay, on to the last pile now. There's about 20 left, I think. And then we'll give them all a brush down. As I said, before we go, I'm going to show you the pile of tape that we've generated on this. It's just unreal. Unbelievable. Writing on the front cover as well. But slowly we're getting it back to shape. lives to fight another day. That was a pretty low grade one, that, but we've saved it. Man alive. That's all right. Twilight of the Gods. A few turned over corners here. There we are. This is looking a little bit the worse for wear. Quite a grubby one, that. 2.5p on the front. But, you know, someone might want it. It's better than no copy, I suppose, if it's one you're looking for. This is a different sort of tape, by the look of it. Yeah, this is Magi tape, and we have to leave that on because it won't come off. So we shall leave that Magi tape on. Something to keep an eye out for. Going forward. Because that hasn't aged like some of the other ones has, so we can't take it off. Problems. Penguin problems. 6th of April 73, Highgate. some vintage sums there, which I will leave. I take the same sort of attitude with those as I do with crossword books, and that's if they have been attempted, I tend to leave them, and else, you could just be rubbing out the entire book. So it's probably the best way with that. That's quite nice. I think that's pen. Yes. Sadly. Almost every single book has needed something doing to it, hasn't it? Almost every one. But that's how it goes. Ironically, that one's absolutely fine. Tiny little bit of tape down the bottom there. Hardly seemed worth it, did it? Last one before the brush off. Here we are. Right, so that's all the books repaired. All the rubbing out done as much as we can. And then last stage is to give them the old shoe brush treatment. So let's rearrange the camera and get that done. Okay. I said, on the whole, these didn't appear to be massively dusty, which is actually a bit of a surprise, but also a welcome surprise. So I shall give them the old brush over anyway, because some are worse than others. Hopefully we won't see any other repairs to do while we're at it. Right, this is the last of the books, and we won't be doing the second 100 today. It's just not enough time to get that done. But I did want to show you the tape, so let me get that out. So there we are. Look at that pile of tape. Anyway, thank you very much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the first of the 2,200 vintage penguins we got to get done. That was literally the first 100, so absolutely crazy. Do please hit the subscribe button, and I'll look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.